Hello everyone! In this video, we are going to talk about one of the best adventure games of 2017, Hollow Knight. It is released on February 24, 2017 by the developer Team Cherry and is available through Steam for just 16.99 Canadian dollars. This game begins with a quote by one of the NPC in the game called Monomon the Teacher. It creates suspense and arouses curiosity in players in order to make them wonder what is going to come next. It is followed by two cutscenes telling us the story of what happens before the start of the game. Cutscenes play a big role in adventure games as it is one of the major ways how the story is conveyed to the player. This is the first cutscene which introduces the antagonist called the Radiance, which is depicted as an infection trying to escape the vessel locked by the three dreamers. The second cutscene introduces the protagonist called the Knight. He is the main character and will be controlled by the player in the game to explore the world of Hollow Knight. The Knight is nameless, has no personality, and is fully controlled by the player. Its physical appearance is tiny, he is wearing a mask and a cloak, and carrying a nail as a sword. Much of the story of Hollow Knight is not told to the player directly, so the players need to explore and interact with the NPC or items in the game to reveal the next part of the story. In the first part of this video, we are going to discuss how Hollow Knight is an exemplary model of its genre and platform. Based on Lindsay Grace's game types, Hollow Knight is best described as an adventure game. More specifically, it is an action-adventure game, and its subgenre is Metroidvania. This game is an exemplary model of an action-adventure game as it shows the characteristics of an action game through the physical skills needed to defeat the strong and fast-paced boss fights, as well as the characteristics of an adventure game as their embedded story elements. The story is reliant on the player's movement which triggers the story event and the flow of the game. Hollow Knight is a two-dimensional platformer and the player is free to roam around the world of Hollow Knight called Hallownest, which is one of the characteristics of a Metroidvania game. Hollow Knight can be played in many platforms such as Nintendo Switch, Microsoft Windows, Linux, and Mac OS. These platforms are very suitable to play Hollow Knight because they are user-friendly. Being a 2D game, it is the easiest to control the character using the keyboard or controller. Interactions with the NPCs are also easy using buttons or keypads. Boss fights are also accurate because of the use of the keyboard. Now, we will move on to the next part of the video.
In the second part of the video, we will be discussing about the design qualities of the game in terms of course concepts. We will be referring to many concepts from this course. The first one will be the type of interactivity provided by the game. According to the Salon and Zimmerman's four types of interactivity, this game is in cognitive interactivity, where there are psychological, emotional, and intellectual participation between players and the game system. Next, we will be talking about the mechanics of the game. Hollow Knight has many rules. One of them is the operational rules of the game, which is basically walking, running, attacking, and jumping by pressing the corresponding control buttons customized by player setting. The space of the game is 2D continuous. One of the main objects in the game is coin, called Geo, that we use for buying maps and charms. Coins have a static attribute such as the value of each coin that doesn't change throughout the game. Other than the main character, there are also lots of enemies in the game that have dynamic attributes such as moving and attacking the player. The physical appearance of Knight, the main character in the game as we observe, is tiny, wearing a mask and cloak, carrying a nail as a sword. Knight doesn't have a specific personality since he is fully controlled by the player. Players don't need special skills, but only the virtual skill of the main character Knight, which is introduced later in the game. Main story of Hollow Knight involves an external conflict between Knight and the Radiance. The type of external conflict is person versus nature, when the Knight has to kill insects. However, it is person versus person in boss battles. This game has a branching narrative at nearly the end of the game. There are three distinct outcomes of the game, and gamers' choices lead to different narrative outcomes. The story is embedded in the game and only triggered by the player's movement. The type of the complexity of the game is immersion complexity, where the game ups its level a little every time after player makes a success. This makes the challenge a little more interesting. The game designer did a really good balance of the complexity of the game, because the complexity of the game excites gamers instead of keeps them from playing the game. According to the MDA model, Hollow Knight has satisfied most of the 14 forms of fun, which are beauty, power, discovery, and completion. In the aspect of beauty, the graphics are nicely hand-drawn and the game creates appropriate sound at different scenes, such as the sound effect during boss fights and spooky places. Players would have a feeling of nervous but curious, interested and excited when playing the game. People who love adventure games would enjoy this game experience. The player has to upgrade the nail to get it stronger and more powerful. The best thing of an adventure game like Hollow Knight is discovering new places and secret spots, and also to get 100% completion of the game, but defeating all the bosses and obtaining all the charms. Now we are going to move on to the next part of the video.
In the third part of the video, we will be discussing about the game's connection to its audience in relation to player persona or gamer culture. One of the gaming culture Team Cherry used to gain popularity for Hollow Knight in its early days is through a crowdfunding website called Kickstarter. Team Cherry revealed Hollow Knight on Kickstarter on November 2014 to gain funds for the game development. They received 2,158 backers who pledged around 57,000 Australian dollars to help bring Hollow Knight to life. After the development of the game, Team Cherry makes use of different gaming communities such as Reddit and Steam community discussion thread to communicate with their audience. Team Cherry also has websites to announce updates of the game, such as new DLC and bug fixes. There's also participatory culture in Hollow Knight's community. Hollow Knight accepts fan arts as designs and sell them as official merchandises in the forms of t-shirts and keychains. Lastly, we choose the game Hollow Knight for our final project because we really love the game and appreciate the developers for making such a wonderful game with a storyline that holds a very deep meaning. Thank you for watching this video, and we hope that it provides you with an insight of the game and helps you on your journey through Hollow Nest.